you running to serve the state of Oklahoma?
Well, Haley, I'm a private sector businessman. I'm a husband of 32 years, a father of 2 sons, and a conservative Christian that believes that Oklahoma's best days are still ahead. I was honored to serve as Speaker of the House here in Oklahoma for 8 years, and it felt like during those times, I got to see the worst of times. I got to leave on the best of times, and a lot of that time during service, I felt like we were catching up a lot of things in Oklahoma. But I believe now Oklahoma is in a position where we can take some big strides forward to see an unprecedented amount of opportunity for the people of the state and prosperity for the people of the state. That's what excites me about running for governor of the state.
You were the longest serving Speaker of the House. What would you say are some of the biggest lessons you learned in your tenure?
Well, being able to serve 8 years as Speaker of the House, it was an honor. But you got to see just a lot of things. I think what really is beneficial for me now running for governor of the state, as the Speaker of the House, a member of the legislature, you get to see what goes on within the executive branch of government. I mean, every year we were passing a budget and passing laws. And we got to see very closely lots of hearings, budget hearings, on how the executive branch operates. And I truly believe that's going to make me the best and most effective governor of any of the candidates in this race. I will focus on reforming the executive branch of government. Will be a priority of mine, and making sure that those agencies are working for the people of the state, not themselves.
You talked about, that understanding of the executive branch. Other than that, what would you say sets you apart from the other candidates?
Without question, I'm the only candidate in this race, or that will be in this race, who has proven and delivered on outcomes. Everybody's going to have great political rhetoric in a campaign, but I'm the only candidate that has actually delivered on a great conservative agenda, moving from no reserves to record reserves, passing the largest tax cut in state history, and turning our economy around from the worst of times in state history to the very best. Protecting families in terms of protecting women in sports, banning gender reassignment surgeries on minors in this state, banning critical race theory being taught in our schools, protecting our freedoms and liberties. I'm the candidate and the only candidate who has delivered on those talking points.
You worked very closely with Governor Kevin Stitt while you were in the House. What do you align with him on, and what would you maybe do a little bit differently than he's done?
I got to work with 2 governors of the state. Mary Fallin for 2 years, my first 2 years as Speaker, and Governor Kevin Stitt my last 6 years. Stitt and I had some great accomplishments. There was a lot that we agreed on and got, I think, had some great outcomes. Things where we see things differently. When it comes to Native American tribes in the state of Oklahoma, we have 39 federally recognized tribes in the state. And working well with the tribes is a net positive for the state. That doesn't mean we're going to be able to agree on everything, because tribal leaders have their constituencies that elect them, just like the state of Oklahoma elects their governor. But we will find agreement on things that's good for all of Oklahomans. But it's important to keep in mind, the tribes in our state, they have access to separate monies federally when it comes to health care, education, and roads and bridges. And when we are working well together and close together, we can get more things done quickly in the state of Oklahoma. I'm going to continue to focus on reforming the executive branch of government, and I think Governor Stitt started that process. But I have a unique understanding and perspective about the executive branch of government. And I've said on the campaign trail when I've been asked, what are you going to do in the first day as governor in the state of Oklahoma? Very simply, I'm going to call in every agency head in the state of Oklahoma, and I'm with a very clear, concise message. This day going forward, you work for the people of this state, not the other way around. And I'm going to make sure that the executive branch of government meets its mission, which is to serve the people of the state. And it'll be a lot of work, but I'm ready for it, and I think the people are ready for
Moving back to the tribal relations issue, it's no secret that the executive branch and the tribes just don't get along that well right now. What steps would you take to mend that relationship? Would you bring them in for some sort of counsel, or what does that look like to you?
Well, first, I think you have to have a respectful dialogue in relationship. You also have to understand that each tribal nation in Oklahoma has its own culture. It has different, their government is structured differently, and you have to recognize all of that. But the first thing is just have respectful conversation. Build trust. Doesn't matter whether you're talking with the tribal nation, its leadership, the people of the state of Oklahoma. If you have people's trust, you can get things done. Without trust, you can get nothing done. But it starts with just having a good conversation. And the Native American culture, they're private. A lot of those conversations you have in private meetings, and you work towards a goal. And once the goal, once you believe that there's agreement, then you can go be more public about things and have discussion. But I think I would like to engage the tribes in terms of having a governor's roundtable with the tribal leaders in the state of Oklahoma and find out where we can work together and get things done. Once again, we probably can't do everything that we would like to do, but if you have a good working relationship, we shouldn't let the things that we can't do keep us from doing the things that we can. And one thing I've learned in the legislature, you can look at school choice or school freedom in the state. It was a 10 to 12 year fight while I was in the legislature. But if you keep working and having good communication, at sometime down the road, the stars will align. And if you have that good working relationship, you will get the most difficult things done, and the state will be better for it.
We talked about, how big this state is and how many people there really are here. As you're traveling the state, what is the number one thing that you're hearing that Oklahomans are facing?
Oh, Haley, I'm finding out the state of Oklahoma is a really big state. As the candidate going to all 77 counties, I would say what people talk about the most is education. They're interested in education. Why am I hearing that one group has us ranked 50th in education outcomes? And we talk about all the successes that we've had over the last 6 to 8 years, from our teachers being paid in the lowest in the region to moving that up to near the highest in the region. Number 2, number 1 cost of living adjustment, 1.5 billion new recurring dollars invested every year into education, being more than the previous 23 years combined. But people want to know, well, why aren't our education outcomes better? Why does it look like we're going backwards rather than forward on those education outcomes? And the answer is very clearly, we don't have a legislative branch problem in the state anymore. We have a problem with our executive branch. That's another reason I'm running for governor. And as governor, you're not elected to run the State Department of Education. There's another elected office for that. But as governor, I'm going to lean in and be very vocal. I'm going to have high expectations that we are going to move those education outcome rankings up. We can do it. Other states have done it that were behind us, Mississippi being probably the most notable. But we just have to have a plan that you stick with and you focus on year after year. We can do that in education. I know how to do it, and I will demand it, and we will get it done.
Governor Stitt recently has pushed for the state superintendent position to be appointed instead of elected. Is that something that you think would fall into the executive branch reform that you're looking at?
Well, I've heard the governor speak to this. Our Constitution says that's an elected position. Only the people of the state can change that by vote. If they wanted to go that route, I can work within those parameters. I can certainly have more accountability in effectuating a positive change that way. However, the people keep it the way that they have had it since our Constitution was ratified. I can work with that, as well. It wasn't that long ago that we sent a question back to the people of the state of Oklahoma whether our governor and lieutenant governor should run as a ticket in this state rather than decoupled. And the people voted overwhelmingly, roughly 10 years ago, to keep them decoupled. So that's up to the people of the state. You get to pick your friends in life, not your family. And in this state, the people of the state pick the political family, and you've got to go up there and achieve the greatest outcomes with who the people send. So regardless of what they decide, I'll be ready to effectuate positive change for them. But I would like to see, as governor, our state's constitution, the governor doesn't have the constitutional authority that the Speaker of the House has. And I am going to ask the legislature, as the next governor of the state, to give me more authority to change the executive branch of government, to reform it, to make it more efficient, to work better for the people of the state. And I'm going to ask them to do that. And if they don't like the way that I do it, they could always strip me of the power. But the governor needs more authority over the executive branch of government. And right now, many times, one hand's tied behind the governor's back. If the legislature will trust me with that, I'm going to spend a lot of time making sure that the executive branch actually implements what the legislature passes, and we're going to get those education outcomes up. I guarantee it.
Other than education outcomes, when you're talking about executive branch reform, what exactly does that look like to you?
Well, the governor doesn't have a whole lot of control over the agencies. There's usually boards and commissions that sit in between the chief executive officer of the state, which is the governor, and those agencies. While the legislature, we granted Governor Stitt, at his request, hire and fire authority over some of the agencies, there are still barriers of really overhauling some of the agencies that people in the state just don't feel like are serving them very well. The Department of Human Services is the #1 agency in the state that I get the most complaints on. And as governor, I'm going to ask, it's going to take the legislature giving the governor more authority to step in and restructure that. I'm up for the task. I know how to do it. I've done that and worked with others in the legislative branch to clean it up, make it more transparent, and make sure that it's working for the people. And I'm going to do the same in the executive branch as governor.
For the first time in quite a few cycles, we don't have an incumbent running, I don't think, for anything. So we'll have a new governor, a new state superintendent, new attorney general, all the way down into a somewhat new, House Speaker and Senate Pro Tem. You have worked closely in the legislature with all kinds of different people. How do you envision working with all of those new state leaders?
Well, on the statewide, you're right. Only the state treasurer, Todd Russ, is the only one eligible to run for re-election. All the other statewides will be brand new. So I think that's another reason why this governor's race is so important. Oklahoma needs a governor that knows how things should work and who can be effective on day one, who is a proven conservative who's delivered on conservative policy and a functional government. As it comes to the legislature, the governor has to have a good relationship with the legislature. The legislature has much more authority under the Constitution than the governor does. The current legislative leaders, both Speaker Hilbert, my successor, got to work with Speaker Hilbert for many years. Senate Pro Tem Lonnie Paxton, I got to serve with him as well during my time in the legislature. I expect we'll have a very good relationship and one focused on moving this state forward and creating more opportunities for people and business in this state.
And then you talked about, day one, you want to bring the state agency heads in and make sure that they're serving the people. Is there any legislative initiative that you would be focused on in your first year, let's say?
Oh, well, I think have always been about making the legislative priority that which the people of the state of Oklahoma want, first and foremost. And that's what's great about this campaign. At the end of this month, I've been campaigning and listening to people for a year across the state. But I plan to come in with a very bold agenda, one that has been identified by what the people of the state want And I plan to get that executed in the very first session, the first 100 days while I'm governor of the state of Oklahoma. You're going to have to bring people together. You have to work with the legislature. The executive branch has to be functional, has to be focused on its mission. And we have to work every day to earn the trust of the people of the state and keep the trust of the people of the state.
We saw the ad space ramp up quicker than it has in years past. What kind of feedback did you get from the beginning of your ads and some of the counter ads from that? And then what do you expect in the ad space in the next 6 months?
Well, campaigns are great. It's quite a journey. With respect to the ads, we've run run one ad in particular. It's been a great ad. You either really love the ad or you really don't like the ad. But it focuses on what's important to the people of the state. Yes, people want a great economy. That all governors are measured by how well the economy does. Fortunately, I delivered as speaker the best economy the state's ever seen. People want certainty. They want stability. We have reserves to weather another economic downturn if that's in the future. What people are most uncertain about and what they worry about are their children, having safe neighborhoods, and Oklahoma not losing its identity and its values. And those are the things that you have to fight for every day. And I have a proven record on that, and that's what people want to know. People want to know that they're going to be safe. Government exists, primary purpose is for the public safety. That's why I've always supported law enforcement, backed the blue. It's critical. With the legalization of marijuana in the state, we're going to have law enforcement has done a great job identifying and rooting out cartel activities, nefarious illegal activities in the state. There's still a lot to be done. As governor, I've said this on the trail, this is important to the people of the state. I'm going to find all the foreign-owned land in this state. We're going to seize it and turn it back over to the people of the state by auctioning it off on the county courthouse steps. But we are going to get rid of that element in the state of Oklahoma. People want safe communities. And Haley, at the end of the day, the state of Oklahoma cannot outperform the people and the communities within it. We have to have safe communities, and law enforcement will continue to be a priority for Governor McCall as well.
As you continue traveling this large, vast state that we have, what do the next 6 months look like for you?
Well, it's I think a bit of a sprint to the primaries. Everybody's looking forward to June 16th, and that's just the first vote. There's likely going to be a Republican runoff, primary runoff, and before we get to the general election. So this will be a sprint. You're just out there working every day. You'll see more of, I think, of a presence in broadcast, advertising. The legislature's going back into session next month. This is going to be a very large election cycle. Keep in mind, all 101 seats of the Oklahoma House of Representatives are potentially up for re-election this year. Half of the Senate and all of the statewide run on the midterm election, which is this cycle. So it's going to be a very big election. I'm excited about it. I've really enjoyed the campaign. It has been a great journey, just getting out and listening to people. And people are excited. We have a lot of challenges. There's a lot of work to be done. But for me, these jobs, it's public service. It's not worth having unless you're going to get out and do big things for the people of the state. And that's what I'm focused on doing.
What is your biggest message to Oklahomans?
We are going to build the best economy the state's ever seen. Our best days are ahead of us. We just need effective leadership. This governor's race is critical. The choice that the people make will define whether or not we stay on a positive trajectory, the one that we've been on the last 7 years, or if there's going to be a change and a turn. But I will focus on the families of the state. I will make sure that they're safe. I will protect their freedoms and liberties. And I will work with the legislature and the other electeds that the people of the state send to make sure that we maximize outcomes for the people of the state. If the people do well, the state does well.
Those were all my questions. Is there anything else you feel like I'm missing? Any other topic you would like to hit on?
One of the other things around the state of Oklahoma that is a big conversation is ad valorem tax. I support and campaigning, and part of my platform is capping ad valorem rates on your homestead at age 62. I feel like at age 62, you're thinking about retiring. You should have certainty in your budget. You shouldn't have to worry about your property taxes continuing to escalate beyond age 62. The state to our south, Texas, does that at age 65. And in Oklahoma, there is a mechanism at age 65 that you can qualify for a full exemption. But I think there should be a full freeze at age 62, and on your primary residence, that can no longer escalate beyond the age 62. And I think people need to have certainty when they're contemplating retirement. They've been paying in for all of these years. This state was built on their productivity, and at 62, you should have certainty and some peace when you're trying to retire. I don't want to see our retirees having to go back into the workforce because they can't afford even the most basic things, food, shelter, and taxation. Well, I think the one thing, Haley, that really drives our economy, what we saw is cutting the personal income tax. I'm a big proponent of getting to zero on our personal income tax. Every time we cut the personal income tax, we didn't see less money, we saw more money. That will supercharge our economy, and we've got to continue to bring that personal income tax rate down to zero. All of the states that are outproducing us are the states that have zero in personal income tax, and we can do it without putting pressure on ad valorem tax.